No, you don't. You don't know when we start recording.
Wait, you're recording me? No way.
That's good. You're surprised because I didn't give you the countdown.
I didn't need a countdown. What I needed was for the countdown to end between our last episode and right now. We are back, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. We are on season 3. Can you believe this? 3 seasons.
3 seasons too many, if you ask me.
No way. It's 3
I'm
seasons.
sick of looking at your face.
You missed my face.
We need to be an off-camera podcast.
Man, this is it has been a long time. We talk all the time about what we want to do, but we finally gone and actually put it onto paper and are ready to chat about it. It is season 3, episode 1, U.S. men's national team recap and off-season roundup. We're going to try not to babble on too much, but USMNT are very, very close to qualifying for the World Cup for the first time since 2014. We've got some thoughts on it. We've got some predictions. We got some previews. And of course, it's MLS Offseason Silly season, right? We got to go round up who's had the best, who's had the worst, good moves, bad moves, our thoughts. Got to share them all because, spoiler alert, we're always right. So if you want to know exactly what's going on and if anything's good or bad, you know where to come. It's right here, baby. But before we do all that, 3 seasons doesn't change. Scarf of the week, baby. What do you got going on?
Well, if we're talking MLS offseason, as if it's going to be any other scarf, it's Toronto. Or should I say Lorenzo Insigne FC?
Stop. We're gonna go into the offseason. You're gonna start talking about that. I'm gonna have to yell at you. We might end up babbling on anyway. Since it's season 3, episode 1, I've gone with the first scarf I ever had. My good old Red Bull wrap around the front, make a little crest. I just put out a tweet today, actually. Sorry, I know we're going off topic, but I put out a tweet.
Yeah,
today.
the scarf tweet. I saw it.
35 scarves I've got from this dang thing. This dang podcast has gotten me up to 35 scarves, 33 soccer specific, and then a Jets scarf and a Ranger scarf. But 35. I want to get to 50 by the end of the year.
It's a good goal.
That's a goal. I know I've got a few from the season 1 interviews we did. I got to still pick those up. I've got LAFC still out there. I've got Leeds United still out there. So I've got a few that I can pick up. But hopefully we get some interviews going. MLS Gone Wild said I need a crew scarf. We'll get that on order.
I've already got my crew scarf.
I know you do.
I'll bring it out next time just to show off.
How many you got? You got to have double digits now, right?
Yeah, I definitely think I have double digits.
That's good. That's good. We'll have to keep going. But like we said, we don't waffle. Not this year. Not this season. We're going on. Oh no! I wanted to bring back the board with the notes and the quotes and stuff. The whiteboard.
It'll have to be an episode 2.
We'll have it for next. We'll have it for next time. Let's jump into the U.S. men's national team. We are recording this on Saturday the 29th. So when this is going to go live on February 3rd. No, Monday. It's going to go live Monday.
Yeah.
The 31st.
After Canada, before Honduras.
Yes. So, side note, before we dive into anything else, one more side note. We as a podcast are going to 2 nights a week. Monday and Wednesday are what we're going to try and shoot for. We might move that around depending on how recording and editing and real life gets into it, but that is the goal for season 3 is to get some more thoughts out there. Less 2-hour podcasts. 2.5-hour podcast, more 30 minutes to an hour, really get some thoughts out there and in shorter spans. So we don't keep waffling on and making you guys listen to 150 minutes of our voice. So that's the goal. That's what we're going to shoot for. So this one's going to go out Monday, the 31st. We've already watched US beat El Salvador 1-0 on an Anthony Robinson finish. Tomorrow we will be live streaming Canada. So all of our predictions will be spoken about tomorrow on our live stream. And then we've got Honduras in the last game. 3 out of 9 points. Massive game in Ontario. And then Minnesota to close it out against Honduras. Really quickly, Connor. We've got 3. How many do we end with?
I think we got to come out of this with 6 at least. At least 6. And I'd feel comfortable in that case. I think regardless of what happens in Canada, got to take, we already got the 3 from the first game, but then we got to take 3 from Honduras as well. And in that case, I think it would, in my eyes at least, it would be a good window. But anything you can get in Canada is just extra cherries on top.
Yeah, completely agree. I was going to say 7. I think if we can go into a Canadian team that's missing their playmaker, the best playmaker, and their best kind of attacking defender, right? Davies is out, and Eustáquio Estuca, the guy who plays in Portugal, he's out as well. So they're not as strong as they were when they played Mexico. And we have the attacking players to take whoever that backup left back is and go attack them. We got to go all out for this, I think, going to the Canada game. In my opinion, winner of this game wins a group. I think Mexico slips up somewhere else, and the winner of this game takes a group. So there are lots of things that I think we can do, but one of the things I really do, I think Pulisic needs to come off the bench. I think we need to let Aronson go, run down whoever is going to be playing in that back line, just run them into the ground and let Pulisic take on a tired Canadian back line. I think that's the way that it really should be. It's not going to happen, but that's the way it should be. What are your thoughts?
I mean, when we played them in the Gold Cup, we scored first minute and then we just locked it down from that point. I mean, I think this team is pretty sound defensively. I think the struggle seems to be in scoring goals. I feel like a lot of the wins for this team has been like 1-0 or like at most 2-1. So I'd almost think maybe the opposite, like try to just especially as the road team, just go out there, really like press hard for the first 15 minutes or so and try to grab an early goal and then just lock it down. And worst case scenario, if you concede one, just try to leave it at that. You walk away with a point. That's a great result. But I can understand the other perspective too. I just think as like the road team, you want to come out there with a bang, just come out there and hit them hard.
No, for sure. And I think one of the reasons they need to be on the front foot the most of the time is because Canada have the hottest striker in CONCACAF right now. Jonathan David is blowing up qualifying right now. And if we just try and lock it down, they will find a way to break us down. If we put high pressure on them and beat them down and beat them down and beat them down, they're just playing long balls to them, and Zimmerman and Richards and whoever's in that back line can clean it up. But if we sit in and let them play a little bit, he'll find that space. You know, Tajon Buchanan will find that, you know, the space on the wing, serve a ball in and get us. So we got to keep him in front of us. We can't give him service. And we just got to show up, right? We can't have a game, and we'll transition into the El Salvador game really here. We can't have a game like El Salvador where it takes us an entire 45 minutes to get into the game, right? That game kind of worried me a little bit. That should not have been a 1-0 game. El Salvador is a tough team, but it's not a team that we should only be beating 1-0 at home. I'm a little worried about Pulisic's ineffectiveness when it comes to playing in CONCACAF. Just seems like he never really creates. And I know he's on pace. He's going to have records on records on records on records, but it feels like more often than not, teams are just hitting him hard and he's not getting anything done.
All right, well, I'm trying not to waffle on too much because I know there were like a couple of other points that we wanted to talk about. So
yeah, that's why I'm transitioning to the El Salvador game. We're done with Canada. We're moving on. We're going to talk about Honduras after that, and then we'll do our little notes on the roster.
All right, so transition to the El Salvador game.
I already did.
No, I'm just saying that's what we're doing. Relax over there. Relax.
I'm gonna reach for the computer and fight you.
Wouldn't be the first time you tried to do that. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't a clean game. It was anything but clean, but who cares at the end of the day? We got 3 points. We can complain all we want about how messy the whole qualifying process was for us. As long as we're complaining about it on the plane to Qatar, I don't care. I don't care at all. Like as long as we are in the World Cup, that's what matters to me. I think it's regardless of even like how we perform at the World Cup, just being there is huge for the game in this country and for the USMNT program. I feel like it will just get so many more eyes on it and grow the game even more. I mean, that was like one of the reasons that I got into it. It was 2014 when they were playing in the World Cup, watching the US play and like hold their own against Portugal and, you know, beat Ghana. It was It was insane. It was so fun. I loved it. And then from that point forward, I was hooked. So I think getting results like that is hugely important, regardless of how clean it was.
I completely agree with everything you said there, and that's a whole nother episode talking about what the World Cup means for the state of football in America and all that good stuff. One more on the El Salvador game. One more little tidbit here. Defensively, you really can't ask for much more. I don't think Turner really did much of anything. Greg has the defense locked in, no question.
Yeah.
Obviously, the attack is worrying. What did you take of Jesus Ferreira?
I would say I don't know if I necessarily see him as like a lone striker. I think he would be better in a situation like he had with Dallas, where he can play with a striker like Pepe. Or so I guess maybe in this case, maybe someone like DK up top, or maybe Josh Sargent. I don't know about Josh Sargent, but I think he would be I think he's more creative than he is like just an out and out finisher. I think we definitely saw that this game. I mean, that was exhibit A of him being that way, because I mean he missed the sitter like right in front of the goal. I mean that 10 times out of 10 needs to be in the back of the net. But then he made up for it a bit with the nice cushion header to Anthony Robinson. So I still think he has a place in this team. I just don't think he's an out and out lone striker up top for us.
I would tend to agree. I think he's still a little bit raw. He's definitely got some adjustments to make in terms of the way he plays and fitting into a style, right? But a topic for another episode, but I think he's one of the first people out when it comes to the final 23 man in Qatar. I think he's close. And if he has a great season in MLS 2022, maybe we're talking a different story. But the way that he performed was not bad. I'm not going to say he had a bad game, but you can't bring those types of misses into the World Cup. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I would agree. All right.
Yep. Let's do a quick preview into Honduras right before this game will be kicking off tomorrow when you guys are listening to this. We're at home in Minnesota. We've already been used to games in Columbus and Ontario where it's been freezing cold. Honduras should not be. I'm expecting this to be, depending on the result of the Canada game, a rotation game. You see the likes of maybe a Gaga Slanina, right? Maybe a Chris Richards, not Chris Richards, I'm sorry. Backup outside back that we brought.
What'd you say?
Who's the outside back we brought, the backup?
Cannon?
Yes, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't get it off the top of my head. I think you'll see a lot of those guys get in if we get the results in Canada. Regardless of who steps on the field, it's got to be 3 points. Bottom of the group, I think they've got 3 points total right now. No excuses. Does not matter who is on the field. It needs to be 3 points.
So I'm going to actually disagree. Not in the needing 3 points, but I think the U.S.
I think they need 0 points out of this game.
We need to give the small teams a better chance, just like Mexico. So I actually think that they should be throwing out a strong team here, because this is a game that 100% needs to take 3 points. If you do not take 3 points here, that is highly, highly, highly disappointing. And I don't even think Greg should risk it by rotating. Like, as much as I would love to see Gaga Slanina playing, I think he's got to have some consistency in the team going into this game with the team that he just played against, El Salvador. So I think that he should go with a strong team here. I mean, a lot of it is going to – I think he should do that regardless of what happens in Canada. Even if we win the game in Canada, golden opportunity right here to just lock our place down for the World Cup if you can win the last game of the window. So I think he should go pretty consistent with the strongest team. I think he could probably get away with rotating 1 or 2 players, but I think like Turner should definitely be in between the sticks. I think you could probably get away with maybe throwing Dest on the left and throwing Reggie Cannon on the right, and you'd probably be okay. Maybe rotating the center back, getting like Chris Richards in there. But I think for the most part, it's got to be consistent. We got to see Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Christian Pulisic. So I think they got to take the 3 points, and no matter what. So I'd prefer to see the stronger team as opposed to a more rotated one.
Interesting. Well, there's time to see that. I would truly believe that if we get 3 points against Canada, Honduras have 5 goals for, 17 goals against, have not won in their last 5 games.
That doesn't mean anything in CONCACAF, and you know that. You know
Stop
that.
it. I can't. I feel like we would be all right with not. I'm not saying heavily rotated. I'm not saying like FIFA goes back-to-back games on you and your entire team has 20 stamina. You have to rotate all the bench players. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there are players in there that can get in there and make an impact.
Yeah, you could.
Giassi's artist starting instead of Pep, right? That type of stuff.
I don't know about that. We don't.
Let's talk roster, right? Let's talk about these players in the roster here.
Yep.
Which player, when the roster came out, I know it's a little bit ago, like just really made you super hyped to see on the roster?
So I know it's not surprising to see him on the roster, but one name I was super excited to see again was Yunus Musa. I think every time I've been watching him lately in the World Cup qualifying games, now that he's getting some pretty consistent game time in the team, he's so good on the ball. Like he just dribbles past anybody that comes in front of him. And it's just so entertaining to watch. But not only that, I think it's like super beneficial to the team because if his dribbling is so good, he's going to attract a bunch more attention. And in that case, now that takes the attention away from the guys up top, like Pulisic or hopefully Gio Reyna when he gets healthy again. So I think it's been super exciting to watch him play. So I was really excited to see him back again. And it was pretty much more of the same against El Salvador. So, and just so people don't forget, he only in November just turned 19 years old. So this is one for the future.
I'll tell you, I'm the first one who forgets that. I feel like he's 21, 22. It's absolutely wild, isn't it?
It's insane. I mean, he was at the start of, I think, World Cup qualifying, he was 18. I don't remember exactly when we started, but I mean, that's insane. 19 years old. He just turned 19.
That is wild. For me, it was Gaga Slanina, and that's the reason I brought him up, is because you've got all these rumors about him, right? Making a move to Europe, being Gigi Buffon's replacement. I've seen all these headlines and stuff. And what I'm really hoping is that if they do rotate that team, that he gets to give himself a shot, right? Because how massive of a move would that be from MLS Youth Academy to Gigi Buffon? Like it's just, and this would be a great place for him to showcase that. And like I said, I've been on his hype train for a little bit. I'm excited to see what he can do. I hope he gets a shot, but even if he doesn't, right, at 17, 18 years old, he's getting great experience under the likes of, Zach Steffen backing up Ederson, Matt Turner about to be starter at Arsenal, right? Like, damn, I was hoping for a reaction there.
No, I mean, I fully agree. Ramsdale's quaking in his boots right now.
Bro, right. Turner is so clear. It's unbelievable. No, right, but he's learning from the best. He's getting himself better. And even if he doesn't make that move, being at Chicago, where he's just going to be a shot-stopping machine because they've got backline of like Jonathan Bornstein, is going to be great for him. So
like
I'm happy.
Their back line is like that meme, if you've ever seen it, with like the Cheeto that's like holding the door locked.
Yes.
That's Chicago's back line.
Yeah. So that's my guy. I think he's in for a real good year, and I'm hoping he makes a real big move pretty soon.
That's a good
shout. What about when you saw that roster, the first person when you didn't see his name made you jump for joy? I'm sure
I went really obvious here. So
me too.
Go ahead, gander a guess.
I'm thinking you went Tim Ream. You hate
Tim Ream? I don't hate Tim Ream. I don't hate Tim Ream.
Yes, you do.
I think Tim Ream is not like the most exciting name to see, but honestly, the way he played the last time that he was on the team definitely helped turn my opinion around. Not that it was really negative before. I mean, it probably teetered a bit more towards that way, but I think Tim Ream definitely like has a place in the team. So I can understand it. It's not the worst one. My pick was actually Jackson Ewell.
Mine was too, but I was hoping you went something different.
No.
I just want to point out before we move on that every time a U.S. roster is put out and Tim Ream is on there, Connor sends a message into our group chat and says, "Why is this man still on my roster?" So I don't hate
That is
Tim
not
Ream,
true.
but I hate whenever I see his name.
That is
It's
not true.
I could probably find it now if I wanted to.
You could probably
But
find
yeah,
like one or two, but
Jackson Ewell, same thing for me. That experiment's over. It failed really badly. And I hope it's back pocketed for a really long time and we don't see him for a little bit. Not that he's not a bad guy, but he just didn't fit the system. That's all it is.
and as a Red Bull fan, you know all about fitting the system.
We love a good system. What player did you wish kind of made the team other than Tim Ream?
Yeah, I went really obvious here again. I went John Brooks. And
Wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
Why? He's had the worst season of his career.
I checked his numbers last night. His numbers he was like the 9th best player on Wolfsburg this season.
Yippee! It's Wolfsburg.
That's not the worst.
everybody I have heard, bless you, Grace. Everybody I have heard has said that he's having a nightmare season.
I've heard he's been having a bad season too, but you're gonna tell me that half the guy, like there's definitely guys in this team that have not had strong seasons and make the team every time. I mean, Pulisic is having a pretty rough season at Chelsea too.
Every striker at Chelsea's having a rough season.
Exactly.
No,
I mean, listen, John Brooks I can understand the rotation because he's playing poorly, but I mean, this guy was our out and out number one, like no question, number one center back. Like, and it wasn't long ago that was the case.
Like 2 years ago.
Like last year, if you look last year, he was definitely still our number one center back.
That's arguable.
I understand that like Robinson, Walker Zimmerman, those are guys that are super in form, but Brooks hasn't. I don't think Brooks has been on the roster once for this entire World Cup qualifying. Why not just at least give him a shot?
Our pool is too deep, and I'm actually going to dive into this in a little bit, but our pool at center back is too deep for people to be getting shots. And I explained this to you before. We aren't in yet.
I know.
We're not confirmed in yet. We don't have time right now to just give random players shots who are playing poorly and hope they can play out of it. It's not January camp. It's January World Cup qualifying. We don't have the time yet. Now, once we qualify and we've got 3 games left, have a good time. Give me Jordan Lewis, give me Jackson Ewell, give me everybody. I don't care. But until I've got a ticket on that plane to Qatar 2022, do not give me players who are not ready.
You want to play Gaga Slanina against Honduras.
You're telling me Gaga Slanina is going to have a worse game against Honduras?
I'm not saying that he will, but he's played 10 games in his career.
Which is why I don't think he should make the move yet. I think he should sit at Chicago and get 150 shots.
But you want to play him when we don't have our Qatar ticket in our hand.
You're right.
Why is that different than John Brooks?
Honduras. Yeah, but if John Brooks makes a mistake, Gaga Slanina can clean it up. That's the issue, right? If John Brooks lets somebody in, it's 1v1. Gaga Slanina has people in front of him to make that stop. I think I mixed up my words there, but you know what I mean. John Brooks making a mistake or, playing poorly out of the back because that's something that an out-of-form center back does, hurts us more than Gaga Slanina taking 3 shots against Honduras, because that's what's going to happen. Honduras aren't getting any shots. But if John Brooks tries to play out of the back and he misplays the ball, then they're going to get chances. That's the difference. Anyways.
I think he could easily take Mark McKenzie's spot on this roster right now. And even if he's not playing, just train with the team. I mean, the guy's hugely experienced.
Is Mark McKenzie on this roster?
Yeah, Mark McKenzie's on this roster.
You could have told me, and I would have completely thought you were lying.
I could probably also tell you he's playing for Dallas, but
you definitely could too. He has had an awful club experience as well. But
and he's on the team, so why not
I'm not
bring
saying he
Brooks?
should be, though. I'm not saying he should be. I'm not sitting here saying Mark McKenzie deserves it over John Brooks. I think both of them should be tossed out in the trash and give me Wyatt Omsberg, dang it. If I don't get Wyatt Omsberg on my national team, I riot.
All right, we're waffling. I mean, it was a
We
good
are.
waffle, but go on. Who's your player that you were upset to see not on the roster?
I kind of wish we saw Joe Scally here. Right?
That's fair.
I think if we're talking out, Joe Scally versus Brooks Lennon, I don't know how you defend that. Unless Joe Scally got hurt and I didn't know about it, or has been playing really poorly for Gladbach, which I don't think he has. I haven't read a lot about it.
Mhm.
I don't see how you get Brooks Lennon over Joe Scally here. I don't. Salud.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I kind of see that. And I actually just read something today that Lennon got sent back to Atlanta because he picked up an injury. So definitely could have probably used that spot on Scally. But I mean, this has to fit. This has to like support the idea that Greg has a MLS quota, right? Like, I understand Brooks Lennon was
I will
in
not
form.
sit here and listen to that slander. I won't. That could be another episode, but I won't sit here and have a slander about that because
I understand Brooks Lennon was in form for the season, but like, how much is he bringing to the table here? Like, why not take like an exact same scenario as what they're doing with Gaga Sanina? Like, just bring in a young guy. Who cares if he plays or not? At least he's training with the team.
I'm with you. I get it. That's why I put
it's a good pick.
But I will not sit here and listen to slander about our Lord and Savior Greg taking an.
That's fair. I
won't do it.
I retract. I will repent for my sins.
Is there anybody on this roster that you were really upset to see that you thought really shouldn't have been there outside of Brooks Lennon?
I wouldn't say like really upset, but just kind of like over it at this point is just to see Sebastian Lletget on the team again.
not even dress.
so the thing for me that I just don't is like, for a while I kind of grouped like Kellen Acosta, Sebastian Lletget, Christian Roldan, and like that same group of guys. It's like, I don't really know if like, I feel like there's better options there, but I feel like Kellen Acosta has proven his worth to be on the team. So I completely understand him being called in. Christian Roldan, I could absolutely see an argument for him to be swapped out, but I personally like Christian Roldan. I think he plays really well in the league, and I just don't think he's gotten really a lot of chances, to be honest. But Sebastian Lletget, I feel like, has absolutely gotten chances in this team. And in terms of MLS, I do think he's a good player. I don't think he's great, but he gets called in every single window. Every single one. He has to have been like the most called in person this past year. I don't think he's missed a window. I don't
have numbers in front of me, but I would love to argue win percentage with Sebastian Lletget in the starting 11, just because I can.
It would probably be pretty high because I feel like
it would be fantastically high, and that's why he keeps coming.
But it's not because of him. I don't think it's because of him. I think you could have taken a chance on someone else in this position. The same way we talk about like we could have used that Brooks Lennon spot for Joe Scally. We could have probably used the Sebastian Lletget spot on a young center mid who's just coming in to train with the team.
Why not? Tanner Tessman.
Yeah. Busio isn't even someone we would have to be like, oh, let's just see what they got. Like, Busio's been in the team.
He hasn't been great in the team, but he's been there. I get it.
Neither is Sebastian Lletget. So
Sebastian Lletget, that's my win percentage of any starter.
He might be.
At me.
He might be.
Numbers never lie, my friend. I too am not really like super upset with anybody, but having 4 goalkeepers in a 3-game window, not like my super favorite.
That's fair.
Especially when you could have taken one of those and used them for a Joe Scally. Right. So I'm not super upset at anybody, but 4 GK is not really my thing. My last question about
you got to pick one.
Oh, Sean Johnson.
GK4?
Or if Stefan was injured coming in, like I know the second he was there, it was like, oh, he's out injured. So I didn't know if he was coming in with like a knock or whatever, but one of those two could have dropped. But if I were to pick anybody, it'd be Sean Johnson. Not because of any club ties, but I don't need you there. Last question, USMNT related, then we move on to the off-season roundup.
Yep.
Which is where if we had sponsors, we put a little like sponsor tag in there, like in between sessions.
Yeah, off season sponsored by I don't know, what's something silly? Chuck E. Cheese.
The Outlet Pass pod.
From the graveyard.
Oh, we love inside jokes. In your opinion, who's got the most to gain this window?
So in this spot, I said Matt Turner because I feel like Zach Steffen for a long time has been the number one. I think Matt Turner just got his move now to Arsenal and is now in the exact same position as Zach Steffen. So there's no more MLS versus Premier League, debate anymore. They're both in the exact same position. I think this is if Matt Turner comes in here, keeps 3 clean sheets. Granted, he had to do absolutely nothing in the previous game, but regardless, if he keeps 3 clean sheets, it's going to make it super hard for Greg to say, okay, we're going back to Steffen as the number one. I think this window, especially if Steffen did pick up an injury and Turner has the opportunity to play all 3 games, is a great opportunity for him to lock down the number one spot. And I wouldn't complain. I'm fine with either one of them in goal. And it might be like a situational thing, depending on how Greg wants to play. Is obviously Steffen's a bit more play out the back, where Turner's just more of a straight shot stopper. But I think this is Turner's window to make his mark on the number one goalkeeper spot.
Interesting. I like that. I think with Steffen injured, I don't know if it's as much to gain as it would have been if they were going head to head, For me, it's Walker Zimmerman. There was a really good story on the during the El Salvador game that during the first couple cycles of World Cup qualifying, he was nowhere to be found. And then he was an injury replacement because Greg didn't rate him. And now he's there every week, but he's kind of on that teeter-totter of maybe he's in, maybe he's out. So he's got to play for his spot, right? He's not in there. He's not solid. And we talked about that center back pool being relatively deep, and somebody good is not going to make the team. He needs to make sure that he's playing so Greg doesn't drop it.
It's funny. I kind of think, not that I necessarily agree with it, but I kind of think Walker Zimmerman's probably the most locked in center back right now. I can't even remember, I feel like he plays every single game.
I agree, but that's because we've got Brooks out of form, Aaron Long's hurt, McKenzie's out of form, Miles Robinson is there, but they gave a rotation, right? So he's got to beat out to start in Qatar. He's got to beat out really 4 good center backs. He's playing for a spot.
I think he's playing to keep his spot, but I don't think he has to earn the spot. I think he's got it right now. I think as long as he doesn't mess up, he's probably keeping the spot. I mean, I think unless there's an injury or something goes horrifically wrong this MLS season, I think he's already probably at least booked a roster spot. I don't know if he's starting or not, but I feel like he's got a spot in the World Cup team already.
Interesting. Well, let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Make sure you're interacting with us on social media when we post these clips and TikToks, and my puppy's sitting under my shelf. What a weird spot for her to sit. And we are going to transition into an off-season roundup. Play the transition music.
Brought to you by.
Just kidding. We don't have transition music because we are, according to one really salty Mexican fan, a small podcast. I tweeted.
He's probably not wrong.
I mean, no. I tweeted something the other day.
Pretty spot on.
When Mexico went down to Jamaica when they were up a man, I tweeted something about how they were in the mud, and he goes, "Yeah, just like your podcast views." And I go, "Yeah, this small podcast is on triggered Mexican national team fan Twitter. I think we're doing okay." And he didn't respond back, so I'm counting it as a massive dub.
All right, let's get into the off-season.
Off-season roundup. Really crazy and fun off-season. Lots of people moving away. Few people coming in. I ask you, but I think I already know your answer. To this point, we know the window isn't closed for people who are about to jump down our back. To this point, which team had the best off-season? I already know your answer.
No, you think you know my answer, but You definitely do not know my answer.
Don't you dare steal my pick. If you do, I will scream.
I hope I did. I mean, you could see the notes. You know who I should pick, who I'm picking.
I'm not looking at your notes. I'm looking at my notes.
Okay, so I know the obvious choice on a lot of people's minds is going to be Toronto because they brought in Insigne. But outside of Insigne, Toronto really haven't done much. I know there's been a lot of rumors. Had they brought in like Belotti, Giovinco, and Insigne, okay,
Game over.
yeah, they're my pick in that case. But as of right now, it's just Insigne, which that in its own right definitely puts them in the conversation. But that is not my pick. I will say my honorable mentions here before I dive into my pick. Seattle Sounders, RBNY, and Orlando. Which means that my pick for the best offseason was LAFC.
Ah, you bum. My pick.
I knew it.
But listen, it's not wrong, right? Listen, these guys have gone in and they've basically improved every single area of a team that missed the playoffs last year, right? They didn't make it.
Yeah, I mean, this team looks...
Escobar in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Sanchez, Tajuri Shroudy on the wing. Sanchez in the middle for depth. Acosta for a starting, basically, Atuesta replacement. And Max Crepeau in goal. What an absolute haul. They've done absolutely brilliantly. And they still got Vela. They still got Blessing and Cifuentes. And
they got Aranjo, too.
And Naranjo, and they got rid of Blackman, addition by subtraction.
I know. It's been such a good offseason for them, and it's been quietly good. I don't think any of these signings are like particularly splashy. There's no Insigne signing. There's no big South American player signing. Like, I think all the moves that we talked about were all moves from within the league. Escobar, ITS, Crepeau, Kellen Acosta. Like, those were all pickups within the league, but they're great pickups. I mean, those are guys you know are familiar with the league. You know they're going to do a good job, and they're going to come in and they're going to fill those holes while LAFC still have their two stars. They have Vela and they have Aranjo. Like, this team is going to be, on paper, this team is so good going into the next season already.
So here's my worry. My worry is Steve Cherundolo.
Yeah, that's my worry too.
I can see exactly how it should fit in. I can see exactly how it's supposed to work. Will it work?
That's a question mark.
Yeah, it's massive because he can come in and change the entire landscape. He can change everything that he wants about the team and play Vela at left back. I mean, whatever he wants to do, right?
They already have a left back. They don't need Vela at left back. They have Kellen Acosta now.
Fair. So he's been an assistant at the Bundesliga first team. I don't know which team. Youth head coach and German national team youth development program. Not
the strongest CV.
He's got a UEFA Pro license. Hanover 96 and Stuttgart assistant coach. Assistant for the men's national team, which is a very Josh Wolf-esque move. So there's not a lot of experience. I'm assuming, and this is what I'm waiting for, is they're going to get off to a slow start. People are going to scream and yell, and then he'll eventually settle in and be okay. That's my assumption.
It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't get off to a slow start. I mean, they have Vela and Aranjo, who I think can just carry them, even while they're struggling a bit to like kind of solidify. But yeah, I think that's my worry point too. Is just what's going to happen with the new head coach. I mean, all the pieces are there for him. You know, the opportunity is golden.
Just got to put them together.
Putting it together, yeah,
absolutely. On the flip side, some teams have had really bad off seasons.
Mm-hmm.
For me, RSL.
You wanted to go first this time, just in case we pick the same one.
Yeah, I'm taking yours. I know I'm not taking yours, but RSL is my team.
Okay.
These guys scraped into the playoffs on a 95th minute bicycle kick. Went on a good, decent run. But they lost Albert Rusnak. Didn't bring back Anderson Julio as their super sub. And their answer to I just barely got into the playoffs was a 14-year-old homegrown, re-signing Justin Meram and Scott Caldwell. They have a few other homegrowns that came in. Nothing that I'm reading is like this guy's going to be massive. But what really concerns me is that there are 4 weeks left until the season kicks off. They've got 3 open designated player spots and not a whisper about who's going to be filling them. You barely made the playoffs last year with 1. You got to do something. And I get that you might be trying to follow some sort of, I don't know, money, buy low, sell high, homegrown player model, whatever. But you got to start doing something better with those DP spots. They're just you can't. Yeah, you can't have 3. A lot. I don't understand why teams will never fill DP spots. Like,
yeah,
what's the point? What's
the way this league is moving? You have to fill those DP spots.
Yeah, every year, whether it's on a loan or whatever, there's no excuse not to.
Yeah, I would love to look at like the past winners of MLS Cup and see how many of them had open DP spots. I guarantee you it's pretty low.
Yeah, I think NYC had one open last year, but that's just because they had
I feel like they probably filled them all by the end of the season. Maxi, probably Tyus Magno on a young DP.
They had Maxi, Jesus Medina, and Tyus Magno. Yeah. Okay, so that's 3.
Yeah. All right. So my pick for this one, I don't think you're gonna like it because you're gonna be mad. I feel like it, but it's
luckily I know it's not Red Bull because you said it was. They were.
Yeah, they were. It's not Red Bull. They were an honorable mention for best offseason. So, I think. So my thought process was between Chicago and FCC here, and I've gone FCC.
You garbage. I hate you.
FCC need a lot of help right now, like serious help. This was potentially like their worst season yet, and I understand that they don't want to like scrap the whole team every single season and like retry because at that point you're probably just never going to get it to work. But the new crop of players that they're bringing in, it's just not giving me a lot of hope to turn things around for this team. I mean, I know you're super high on him, but bringing in Alec Khan, I agree, it's an improvement, but I don't think it's enough of an improvement to save this team. Bringing back Alvis Powell, that's pretty uninspiring to me because the last time he was here, he was horrendous. Dominic Badgie's not going to change anything for them. Bringing Ray Gaddis out of retirement is an interesting move, to say the least.
I love that move because of memes, not because it's a good move, but that is funny.
Bringing in John Nelson is a decent shout, but I don't think he's been getting a lot of game time lately. And then they brought back Nick Hagelin and Harris Medunjanin. Why? It's not like those guys were a part of winning teams in your history. You brought them back after they were parts of terrible teams in your history. So I mean, this team, like I said, they needed help. They needed an offseason similar to what LAFC did. You've got your stars. You've got Brenner. You've got Lucio Costa. Fill the holes around them. I don't think they did that. I think they added, at best, average players, in my opinion.
I think Lucio Costa is hella overrated. I watched him play live, and he is not good.
I mean, I'm sure he's still an above-average player in the league, whether or not he's a star.
They went out and bought a whole bunch of players last year, and we all sat there and said, "This is the year."
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work. Why not go back to the drawing board? MLS 1.0, Nick Hagelin and Harris Medunjanin.
Because look how it worked for them when they first did it.
Listen, they didn't get worse. And here I am. They're going to get worse somehow. I don't know how, but they're going to.
I mean, this offseason sure seems like they got worse, in my opinion. I don't see a lot of hope for this team. I don't think this was a good offseason for them, and they needed it. They need something to pull them out of the mud.
Only time will tell, my friend. Only time will tell. Grace.
All right.
Now, for my next question, this is a tough one.
Okay.
It's the best under the radar move, something that doesn't jump out as like an Insigne type signing, but something that was like quietly pretty good.
I think you're going to like this one.
I think I probably will.
My pick here for the best under the radar move was the permanent signing of Carlos Cornell.
Ooh, I do like that.
So I think this one is absolutely going to slip under the radar. One, because he was here last year. And two, because it's not a big flashy Lorenzo Insigne name. But I think obviously he was here on loan last season. There was no guarantee that he was coming back. So to make sure and like lock it down that he's coming back on a permanent deal, great move. He was one of the best goalkeepers last year. Helps to provide a little bit of consistency in the back line for them. And I think it's just fantastic from Red Bull to bring him back and really lock it down there. Now they know, all right, we got our guy in goal. We could focus on improving other areas. We don't have to worry about like, oh, we got to go find someone else because Cornell's loan ended and we can't bring him back. So to me, it was definitely a move that was under the radar, and I think it was a really great one. So
I agree with you there. I think that'll be one of the better moves. And we've had this conversation a little bit that there is this really unclear reasoning behind this state of panic in Red Bull Nation right now. Of like, we're not signing anybody. It's like Carlos Cornell, Dylan Nealis, Lewis Morgan, right there have all three holes you need to fill. And then you need a center mid, which they're working on. Take a breath, people. Everything will be okay. For me, I'm going over to Chicago. Rafael Chizikos, the center back out of Germany, I think is going to be really. So the way that I phrase this in the transfer notes that we have, the last time Chicago got really good, they signed a German player to play in the center back. They upgraded their center mid spot, and they got a really big target forward to score goals. Shabilko, Gaston Jimenez on a new deal, and Chizikos. They're following the same thing they did in 2017. By the way, that's McCarty, Schweinsteiger, and Nicholas, in case anybody forgot. But no, I think he's going to bring really good security to Chicago. They really haven't had any of that since Schweinsteiger retired. He has experience through all three levels of German football, helped win promotion to the Bundesliga. Man knows how to win. I think a lot of good things are going to go to Chicago.
Yeah,
they've got pieces moving in the right direction. They were one of my honorable mentions for best offseason, by the way. But
they were clearly in my honorable mention for worst. I was concerned about the players that they lost more so than the players that they brought in.
Fair. But I was thinking just bringing people in. But
yeah, no, you're right. I think I looked at the Bornstein and Amsberg re-signing and the players that they dumped, and I was like, I don't know.
I get you. Best intra-league move. This has been a season where lots of players have moved from club to club for big money, stuff that we haven't seen in MLS 3.0. We're in MLS 4.0, by the way, for anybody who's worrying or wondering. It's MLS 4.0. Get used to it. We're here. So MLS 3.0 was like 500,000, was a big price tag. We've got now like 4 or 5 moves that are $1 million+ moves.
Easily 4 or 5. There's probably more.
Yeah. It's absurd, and it's lovely, and it's wonderful. And I love to see that the league is valuing their players that way. Because then it makes the value of those players even greater when they want to move back to Europe, right? You take Lewis Morgan, for example, at 1.2 mil for Red Bull. Red Bull go out and spend 1.2 on some foreigner, and they're like, "Oh wow, you're so cheap."
Matthias Jorgensen.
He's a sixth of a Jorgensen. He's our 6/10 of a Jorgensen, and people are like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna be massive." But 1.2 in MLS is like, it's not even real money. It's fake money. It's Garber bonus. So it's great. It's really good. It's good to see, and I want to know which one of those moves, or it could be a smaller move, it doesn't matter, which move is the best intra-league move. And you can't say Alec Khan, because we all know that's the actual answer.
Well, you'll be happy to know I didn't say Alec Khan. So I already checked that box off. I think I'm definitely higher on this person than some others are. But
Sebastian
listen, it's Omar Gonzalez, okay?
My veins, right into my veins.
In all reality, my pick was Maxime Crepeau.
So I like that. That's a good one.
I'm very high on Crepeau. I mean, he's the starting goalkeeper for, at the moment, the top team in CONCACAF. That's not for no reason. Crepeau was, I think, quietly super good last season. I mean, my favorite goalkeeper stat. He was the highest in the league in that stat. I listen, but if you're comparing like the 1 versus the 2 in that stat, I get it. It's not like the best, but in a general sense, you can get an idea. I mean, Kenneth Vermeer and Titon were at the bottom. Maxime Crepeau and Andre Blake were at the top. You get an idea. So
it's not a bad stat.
I think Crepeau. I mean, LAFC have been struggling to lock down that goalkeeper spot ever since Tyler Miller left.
Yep.
They have finally got that guy. Maxime Crepeau is going to lock it down between the sticks for them. I think this is a massive upgrade on the previous years where they had Vermeer and Cisniega. And I think it's an improvement over Romero, but probably not a massive one. I think it's fantastic for them. It's a move that has been long overdue for them. So it's questionable from a Vancouver perspective as to why they would do this, but I get it. It was like the biggest intra-league goalkeeper move ever.
It's Vancouver. The guy got good. He has to leave.
That's fair. That's the process. That's my pick for the intra-league move.
I like that. I think that's a good one. Mine, Alistair Johnston to Montreal. I think Nashville got absolutely fleeced here. They were the first team to get like $1 million move intra-league, right? Like it was all big. And then Paul Arriola went for $2 million to Dallas. So Nashville got
that's
fleeced.
insane. They did that just so a player on Dallas. That's why.
Literally, they heard the podcast and like, we need to make a difference. Side note, I think FC Dallas can be really good this year.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody. That's for later. For $1 million, you got one of the most promising wingbacks in the game. International experience, currently with the best team in CONCACAF. And you compare it to some of the moves that we were just talking about, right? 1.2 for Morgan, 1.3 for Leggett, 2 for Arriola. It's a steal. It's an absolute fleecing. And now you've got 2 really good wingbacks in Montreal. You got Brode-Guillard and Johnston there. You can play one as a winger. You can flip one to the other side, see if you can make them both wingers. Trade bait, whatever you want to do. But this is a really big W for Montreal, who were looking for one really big move. And I think they probably need to do a little bit more work at the center of the defense, but I like the move a lot. I think Johnston is a really good pickup, and I'm really, really happy with that one.
I think it's a good move too. My only question is why they're stockpiling so many fullbacks on that team.
I'm assuming Brode-Guillard's on the move at some point.
I wonder where.
I know that there were Belgian. I thought there were Belgian clubs looking at him last year. I might be wrong, but I have to assume he's gone soon. And this is one hell of a replacement.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then it's a fantastic move to. I mean, you've upgraded and potentially made money in the same process.
So you got to think, right? You get him for $1 million. You sell Brode-Guillard for anything more than that, you're pocketing money.
Yeah, and in my opinion, you've improved the spot too.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, last one before we close this one up. So don't waffle too hard.
All right.
What's the worst move of the window? It's not hard.
Tristan Blackman.
Wrong.
So my pick was Tristan Blackman.
Wrong.
Because Charlotte picked him up in the expansion draft from LAFC,
which was a good pickup.
Flipped him and sold him for $500,000, or about $500,000 in Garber bucks. $500,000 for Tristan Blackman. I mean, that's half the price of Alistair Johnston.
That's a quarter Jorgensen.
Yeah, it's a quarter Jorgensen. I mean, I think that's an insane amount of money from Vancouver. Not to mention that they just sold their number 1 goalkeeper, and then to help replace that, they just went and added Tristan Blackman to the back line. I have a feeling at the moment Vancouver is going to be leaky. Is now you've got Tristan Blackman and Florian Youngworth, I think, in the back line for Vancouver with
Somebody got bold
Thomas
prediction
Hasal in
about
goal.
playoff. Somebody
What'd
got
you say?
bold prediction about playoff this year.
No, sorry, Vancouver, not this year. I know you got Brian White and Ryan Gall, but it's gonna be every game's gonna be like 8-6. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this
4.0, baby. That's the way it works.
I'm not a fan of this one. I'm not. I know you and I are both not Tristan Blackman fans, and I felt like it was a lot of money to bring him in.
So I don't disagree. I think it's probably a lot of money. But here's the thing about that goalkeeper spot. Thomas Hasal is the backup. Thomas Hasal is really good. When Kripo got hurt and Meredith I think he was home for a family emergency and MLS is back. Thomas Hasal was goalkeeper of the week, like consistently. They're okay at the center back spot or at the goalkeeper spot. The center back spot, they've got Florian Youngworth. You know how I feel about that.
Now they got Tristan Blackman.
Again, there are things we can talk about it, but that's another episode. But I'm going to ask you why anybody would bring back a player who has not scored more than 2 goals in 4 years.
Rebel brought back Tom Barlow.
Stop it. Tom Barlow had 4 goals in 2020. Abu Danladi back to Minnesota is the absolute worst move. And Minnesota fans, come at me. I dare you. You have nothing. You have nothing on this one. Man hasn't scored more than 2 goals in 4 years. 2017, he was drafted. He scored 8 goals. Has not had more than 2 since. He might be number 3 on the depth chart, number 4. I don't care. But if you ever have to turn to him for injury, international duty, whatever, you are not winning a game. You had a spot. Could have used it on anybody else. There are free agents sitting there right now. Will Bruin was available. Will Bruin would have given you at least 7 goals this year. At least. But you went and got Abu Danladi. Bad. There are better market. There's still people sitting at home waiting for a call saying, hey, man, I'll play it for you. Better than Abu Danladi. Bad. Wrong. All right. I'm going to keep going.
You're gonna keep, what else do you have?
If we don't stop now, I'm going to keep yelling.
Oh no, then we got to stop. They've had enough of you already, and we're like right at the hour mark. It's perfect.
We did really well. We tried to keep it right about an hour. We are just about there. So that's awesome. Thanks everybody for listening into episode 1 of season 3. We'll be back on Wednesday, our normal posting time, for season 3, episode 2. Where we break down the top 5 in each position, or one of our favorites. We're going to try that's going to be tough to keep under an hour.
No, you're going to be yelling way too much for that.
Well, if you don't make stupid choices, I won't have to. Just saying.
But it's more fun if I make stupid choices. Somebody's got to listen. We don't have Adam this year. Somebody's got to fill the shoes.
Not yet.
I'm willing to step up.
It will be a really great season. We're really excited to get going with all of you guys. Make sure you subscribe everywhere you get podcasts so you know when we go live. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Everywhere we are, go follow us so you know all of our clips and whenever we're going live. Keep an eye out for our live stream schedules. We're going to be posting those monthly so you know exactly when we're going to be live. You can tune in and listen to us talk football. Other than that, you got anything else?
Yeah, when you're listening to this, you've already missed out on the Canada live stream. Or maybe you were there. And thanks for joining.
Maybe you were there. I hope you were there because it's probably going to be a lot of fun where we're celebrating.
If you're not there, I'm going to send Andrew to yell at you. So
you don't want that, I promise. So make sure you're there.
You don't want that.
You definitely don't. Thanks everybody for listening. Really excited to get season 3 underway and ready to go. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.